It's Saturday, August 26, 2023. Please make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure you share my videos everywhere with everyone you know, all over your social media. We must continue to wake people up and get people prepared, because I'll tell you, as I sit here on this very warm 112-degree Saturday afternoon, just watching some of the news today, reading some of these articles, we are really in big trouble. And I don't just mean financially. This country morally, socially, is absolutely plunging out of control. We are plunging down a very dark abyss here, socially and morally. And just, I cannot believe the violence and the magnitude of some of these horrific crimes that are taking place to elderly people, to women, to children. I've never seen anything like this. I'll tell you, the devil is no doubt running wild on the streets of America. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I wanted to share this article from the Daily Mail. Fukushima nuclear plant fury. China voices fears of real-life Godzilla and bans Japanese seafood as radioactive water begins being released into the sea. How do you feel about this? Fukushima happened back in March of 2011, I believe. Now, Japan insists that the water discharge is very safe. Would you swim in this water? Would you eat fish swimming in this water? And this water circulates all over the world. It doesn't just stay there. It circulates throughout multiple oceans here. 1 million tons of contaminated water will be discharged over a 30 to 40 year period. South Korea not happy about this. China not happy about this. The fishing industry says this could be catastrophic, what this is going to do to the fishing industry and to the environment. This is just scary. You think about this. Think that this happened back in 2011, 12 years ago. And we're still dealing with this mess. And it's just going to be discharged into the ocean. God knows where it's going to go. You know, the fish swim in it. Then the fish get eaten by bigger fish. And those fish get eaten by mammals and birds. And then people eat them. It's just really scary to think like that your dinner is swimming around in the ocean in radioactive water, and you could be eating this on your plate tonight. Scary stuff. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's anything to be concerned about? Do the people in China and South Korea have a case here, or should we not even worry about it because it's their problem? Like it's not going to be our problem, that this stuff doesn't reach other parts of the world. I think it's a big deal. I think it's a big problem. And I think it never really got dealt with back in 2011. It's very scary stuff. Now, shifting gears back to what's happening morally and socially in this country, I was reading and watching some videos on this morning. 75 Pittsburgh police officers on leave after firing their weapons during housing standoff at eviction attempt. Now, from what I've seen of this, what I've read of this, a couple officers went to a gentleman's house to give him eviction papers. He fired at the officers. Now 75 officers show up to this dude's house, MRAPs, all kind of vehicles, all kind of weaponry, SWAT team. 75 officers, one man being evicted, and they're in a shootout. Over 2,000 rounds fired in this standoff. Over 2,000 rounds fired at this standoff. Now, this is just another unbelievable case of just another maniac and people losing their minds, okay? It's an unfortunate situation. You're being evicted, but to begin firing at officers because you didn't pay your bills, that is a problem. But then we have another problem here. And when you have 75 officers firing thousands of rounds at a house in a neighborhood, I think that's a problem. Over 6.5 hours. I mean, this is literally like you're in Baghdad or something. Another problem I see here is this, and this concerns me, and please let me know your thoughts on this, because maybe I'm just, digging a little too deep into this, but 75 officers, if you hear anything, it's Nugget running around here. 75 officers for one untrained human being being evicted who fired at officers, untrained. This is not a Navy SEAL. You have one untrained human here, civilian, versus 75 officers. It took 6.5 hours to end this dispute. My question is, we know there's a lot of bad people now walking the streets of America who are probably fairly trained because they're from other countries. They have military backgrounds. They have a lot of training. What happens if it wasn't an untrained civilian? And what happens if it wasn't just one person? What if there was 10 of these guys, maybe in 10 different cities? What if there was 100 of these guys, highly trained in multiple cities? Are we prepared to deal with these type of people? We know that there are people here who mean to do us harm, who are in this country right now, highly trained. And it does not make me feel too good that it took 75 officers 6.5 hours to end this situation. I just think that we're going to come to a point, we're going to see this in our lifetime, where we're going to see some real bad actors, highly trained, begin to do things that it's going to happen at the same time. That this is going to be orchestrated and planned out, and it's going to happen in multiple cities at the same time, and we are just going to be overrun. We are not prepared to deal. We can't even deal with one person, and we've seen this happen in schools too. We could not deal with one school shooter. We can't deal with one guy being evicted. It literally takes 100 police officers to be there, and hours and thousands of rounds. So this doesn't make me feel too good. I'm not putting a lot of faith in the safety of the average American when you depend this much on the system, and the system is not prepared to deal with this. The system took 6.5 hours and thousands of rounds and really jeopardized probably a lot of lives in that neighborhood. But what do you think about this? Is America prepared to deal with some bad actors who are going to be much more trained than this individual? I hope it never happens. But there's no way that we have this many people in America coming from 150, 160 countries, and that we don't have some bad people here with the intent to do harm. We are just not prepared, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why you have got to be as prepared as you can be. If you're out in public, do you have an exit plan? Are you scanning and assessing? Where are you sitting in that restaurant? Are you trained? Do you have your tools? Most people are oblivious, and they will be the first ones to be the victims. 2 women shot in bleachers at Chicago White Sox game. Last night, Sox versus Oakland, gunfire erupts and hits some people, I believe, in the left field bleachers. One woman shot in the leg. The other one was grazed in the abdomen. Both will be okay. They're not sure if the shots came from within the park or outside of the park. I would probably say that they came from outside of the park, and I think that that's what a lot of people are saying right now, that they came from the outside of the park, because we know that Chicago is a war zone and bullets are flying all over the place. But now you can't even go to a baseball game because you might get shot. This is just unbelievable. 21,000 people in the stands last night. And now you're taking your life in your own hands going to one of these games. But, we've seen so many fights break out. Last week, what was it, at the San Francisco football game? Massive fight broke out, people punching one another, total animals. So, if bullets aren't flying into the stadium, you've got to deal with the people inside of the stadium and hope that you don't get into a massive brawl. This country is no doubt breaking down. Just again, watching this video last week with the 49ers game and just watching people behave like animals. It does not give me much faith that when we really hit the hard times in America, your neighbors, you better watch out. You better watch out for your neighbors. You better watch out with people down the street, people in your church, people you work with. If they even think you have food or water or anything of value, you could be a target. So be very, very careful. New York Post, heartbreaking photos of young New York City hammer attack victims. Pray for these kids, ladies and gentlemen. This was a young girl. This is a terrible, terrible story. And this is just the demonic that we're dealing with now in America. This happened a week or two ago. Father takes a hammer, beats his wife to death, and then takes the hammer to the kids. His 5-year-old son, his 3-year-old daughter. The 5-year-old son is going to be okay, thank God. The wife has passed. The 3-year-old girl is clinging for her life at the moment. She was beaten with this hammer. She's in a coma and fighting a lung infection right now. I don't know who this girl is, but this story it's just devastating. Please, let's say a prayer for this young girl, 3 years old. Nobody deserves this, especially a 3-year-old little girl. Sophia and her 5-year-old brother were horrifically beaten by a hammer-wielding maniac inside their Surfside Park home this week. That maniac was their father, and that father took their mother's life also. So, pray for these kids. I'm sure the 5-year-old is probably having nightmares. The 3-year-old, we don't know if she's even going to survive. If she does, what kind of condition, what kind of life will she have after this? What in the world is going on in people's mind and spirits? I've never seen so much evil walking the face of the earth ever in my entire life. This is just sickening what is going on. No children deserves anything like this. And, this individual who did this, they should not be walking the earth. I hope this person is tried, convicted, and done with and dealt with quickly, but that probably won't happen. Those poor kids. Most of you have already heard that Rite Aid is preparing for bankruptcy. This is going to halt the opioid lawsuits against Rite Aid. And I'm not going to go into this, into the lawsuit, but I do want to say this. This is going to have a catastrophic effect also on the U.S. economy. And why it's not having, why it didn't have an effect on the markets yesterday, I have no idea. Rite Aid has 2,500 stores in 19 states across America. They employ over 51,000 people. What are these people going to do when Rite Aid begins to close stores, file bankruptcy? I mean, their stock was down 51% on Friday. I mean, Rite Aid could be completely done. What happens to that 51,000 people, workers? How are they going to pay the mortgage? How do they pay the rent? See, people aren't really taking into account these job losses and these stores closing down. What kind of tax ramifications it's going to have for these cities? The tax base will be gone. You have 51,000 people that aren't going to be able to pay their bills, credit cards, rent, housing. That's 51,000 people that probably aren't going to be shopping at Kohl's and Walmart when they lose their job. But again, that tax base that goes to those cities and those people employed in those cities, it's gone. So it's just shocking to see how quick people can lose their jobs and be in jeopardy, and how quick people are losing their homes. We're watching people default on their homes. The default numbers are rising. People defaulting on their car payments, skyrocketing. They're defaulting on credit card payments, skyrocketing. And now that people are going to have to pay their student loan debt back, this is going to be very interesting to see the headwinds that the economy is going to face with this mess. TheEconomicCollapse.com. Americans no longer have faith in our major institutions, and so is the collapse of our civilization inevitable. Yes, it is inevitable in my humble opinion. A recent Gallup survey discovered people are losing faith in our major institutions. So it has a list. I won't go over all these, but it has a list of where the confidence is plunging. People have lost a lot of faith in our military. Only 60% say they have faith in our military. 43% say that they have faith and confidence in our police. The medical system, only 34% have confidence in our medical system. How about this? This is alarming. Our churches, only 32% of the people surveyed have confidence and faith in our churches. Banks, 26%. Public schools, 26%. Somebody told me the other day how great the U.S. public schools are. I guess we still have some very, very delirious people out there, or delusional people, or people that really need some help. And this isn't to criticize or judge anybody. I hope you get help. But if you think the school systems in America are doing well, you are out of your mind. And right here in this Gallup poll survey, only 26% say that they have confidence in U.S. schools. 26% have confidence in the president. 8% have confidence in Congress. If you had a job and your boss only had 8% confidence in you, how long do you think you would be there? 26% confidence in you, how long do you think you would be there? 32%, 34%, 43%. How long do you think you would be at that job? Not very, very long. It is going to get much, much more difficult for them to cover up this mess. They're going to have a very difficult time covering up this economy that is collapsing right before our very eyes, even though there's probably 3 people watching this video today who believe the economy is doing well. 99% of the people watching this video today know exactly what's going on and that this economy is collapsing. And it really may be a orchestrated collapse, a controlled demolition of an economy. There is no way we're getting back to 2% inflation without Jerome Powell and the Fed raising rates drastically, slamming the brakes on this economy, slamming housing, slamming the stock market, slamming the bond market. There's no way we're going back to Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way we're going back to 2% unless we see real serious pain in America. Now, I don't know if Jerome Powell is capable of slamming the brakes. It looks he's talking a big game right now. He's taking some action, but unfortunately, the government is outspending the Fed, and the Fed cannot keep up with the spending. And so inflation is not going to go away. We're going to see another wave, another round of inflation. That gas station yesterday where I started the video and super unleaded at Chevron was $5.99. I went by that gas station today. It is $6.09 today. So we are up 10 more cents today from yesterday at the Chevron station about 1 mile from my house. Up 10 cents overnight. $6.09 for super unleaded at Chevron right here. We're going to continue to see problems. The Fed is going to have a real fight on its hands to get inflation under control while the U.S. government is continuing to spend money like drunken sailors. We are spending trillions of dollars. We are a bankrupt nation. We are a debtor nation. We better wake up really, really quick, or we're going to wind up like a Venezuela or Argentina or any third world country out there. We are really playing with fire here, ladies and gentlemen, and the genie is out of the bottle. And they're going to have a very, very difficult time getting the inflation genie back under control. I mean, you look at the theft now at these stores, and the insurance costs at these stores must be astronomical. Prices at these stores are going to go up because they have got to pay more for insurance. They've got to pay more for security, which basically isn't doing anything. But they're going to have to pay more for these losses. And so who pays the price? You do. How long can many of these stores stay in business when you look at the amount of theft that is going on every day? And it's not just, somebody stealing a candy bar or a pair of socks. People are stealing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time out of these stores. And what happens when these stores say, hey, you know what, we're done, we're gone? That means the mall closes, the tax base disappears, the jobs disappear, and that takes such a toll on a city. People lose their apartments, their houses, their cars, everything. The city loses the tax base. And I just think morally, it's a horrific blow to people when when a massive store like a Nordstrom's or Macy's has to shut down because of theft and all of the thievery that is going on. It's a massive blow morally that we just couldn't stop it. So we now have to shut down and everybody pays the price for it. It's disgusting. It really, really is. So I'm not going to sit here and rant on this beautiful Saturday. I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I hope everybody's taking a little time and preparing. Pray for that little girl, Sophia. Hopefully she's going to make it and have her health back to 100%. It's all in God's hands at this point. But the devil is running loose, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody that says that there's no spiritual warfare, anybody that says that there's no devil or no God, you better beware of these people. These people are in the dark. These people are zombies. You need to get as spiritually strong as you can right now. Nugget's about ready to take a nap. She's making a lot of noise over here. I'm going to end the video right here. God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Stay strong. Pray for this country. Get spiritually as strong as you can right now. You're going to need to be, because we are heading into a very, very dark place in the history of this country. We need to be strong mentally, physically, and spiritually. We need to be praying for this country. We need to be praying for one another. I've never seen so much damage taking place to this country. And if you're not taking action, you are going to be a victim of the crime or the spiritual darkness or the financial collapse or all of it at the same time. Stay strong, ladies and gentlemen. God bless.